Hey guys, how's it going and welcome back. Well, in today's video we're going to go through the different programming capabilities of this keyboard to get you a little bit acquainted. Now, I honestly still don't understand a lot of the stuff in this thing, but I'm learning, as we all will, as we need to use these features. A lot of the features you're probably not going to require to use. I mean, the keyboard is pretty straightforward. It's a piano keyboard, synthesizer is what I call these things because they got all the other voices. There will be some features you're definitely going to want to use. So before we zoom in on the screen, I wanted to go through some of the buttons I'm going to be messing with, and that's the mic setting. The dial here is going to change a lot of perimeters for you. Category area, exit, execute, the number pad, function area. We're going to go through those and we're going to talk about different things because I just reset the keyboard for this video so I can show you how to set some stuff up so that you can get on your way with doing things. Now, before we do anything else, I'm going to unplug my jack in the back here for my sound equipment so we have onboard sound. Okay. And I'm going to get out my headset because we're going to need that to show you about how to set up the mic perimeters on this thing. Now, the keyboard is pretty straightforward as far as the main features that most people are only going to use. However, for some people that want to play on stage with this thing, you're going to need to go out to a PA system that requires a cable suitable to do that. I would suggest a TRS to XLR if you're going to, of course, a stage snake. If you're in a studio like mine, depends on the mixing board you have, where you go with it. But anyways, so let's zoom in and go through these features and see what we can do here. Now, keep in mind too, not all perimeters are going to be savable, okay? Some of them you can just manually save yourself, others will just automatically save, and others above that are just going to be temporary as long as the power is turned on. And some of the things I have learned about this is as soon as you plug in a set of headphones or a cable to a PA, it automatically will cut off the internal speakers. That's default. It thinks there's headphones plugged in. So you're going to have to change a perimeter setting in the keyboard, which will show you in order to be able to have sound still coming out of the speakers and going to your PA. This way you should not require a stage monitor beside you on stage. You'll get all your sound out of the keyboard. Okay, and I would suggest for that setting that we're going to do, have it set up so that you can also control the master volume of your speakers here. Stages can get loud, okay? But you'll also be able to hear yourself in the house as well once things get going and so on. So anyways, getting into the microphone settings first, let's go into the mic setting area. And we're going to start right at the beginning with this. I'm going to turn on my headset. Now you can plug in a regular microphone to this, like a dynamic mic. There is a level gain control on the back of the keyboard. For dynamic mics, my suggestion, leave it full blast, because otherwise you're going to have a hard time getting anything out of a dynamic mic. I'm using a headset, which is actually a Sennheiser, but it doesn't matter. And I can control output from my box to the keyboard, as well as I have dB level control on my transmitter as well to push even more power. So I actually can't run my gain full blast into the keyboard. I had to back off the gain a bit, otherwise it would just be driving too much signal in and feedbacking. So you want to prevent the feedbacking from actually happening. Okay, so turning on the microphone, we are here. So in this area, we have reverb that is turned on by default. What you see on the screen are default settings. Now this is a standard setting, and if we push the button again, let me just go to the other side, press mic setting again, this is going to get you into perimeters like the noise gates. When you stop talking, you're not going to hear any kind of hiss or anything. Shuts right off, right? You also have a compressor tab, a little bit of extra boost. This is going to give you a little bit more volume, and it's going to put punch and dynamics into your vocals. Okay, now how we scroll through these choices, okay, now I'm at minus 48 dB, which is actually a good noise gate setting. Okay, so I'm going to press the category button, which will allow me to change that perimeter. If I'm on this, I can just turn it off, and then it's just always there, right? So I actually want the noise gate on. So when you stop singing or playing, then it's silent. Okay, so going on to the next stage, you're going to keep pressing that category button, come up to the compressor. And if we turn the compressor on, you'll hear there's a big difference. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Things get quieter and less punchy. Saves a lot of those explosion sounds. Okay, but you can change your out, your ratio, and your tolerance area as well. So we're going to leave that off because I actually don't like the compressor on here. Not that I don't like the feature, I just don't like having it turned on. But here we press category and we can scroll through all these choices. Now, I find that the low side on here is a little on the low for me, so I want to raise my lows. And you have a dB level to add extra punch just to that setting. Okay, and you'll have that on each one of these EQs. Now my mids, I don't like my mids quite that high. I like them down a little bit lower. Okay, now in this area, of course, I go to the next one. This is the dB level for it. I can further reduce the amount of decibels, okay, that this area gets, or I can increase. It's up to me. Now, the treble I find is just jacked up way too high. This is not for my vocal range. I actually need that way down, okay, probably somewhere about here. And I leave these all at 0 position or 12 o'clock position because that's where I feel comfortable with them. And of course I can go to there. Now that's it for this area. So what we want to do is press the execute button. Mic setting saved, yes. So you're going to press the positive button on your data entry pad. It also says yes and the other side says no. So we're going to say yes. Now to get out of this area, you simply just have to hit the exit button and you're out. Okay, now let's turn off the mic. Okay, so I've shown this on a video already and the transpose, but I wanted to go through a lot of these areas regardless so that you get a really good idea how things are set up and what things can save manually, and some stuff will actually save automatically, and like I said, other things just, they're temporary. So now we're going to go to the function menu. Now in here we have style volume. That's for your styles that you're playing back, okay, like your drum beats and stuff. Song volume as well, if you're in your song area. Audio volume, wireless LAN volume. So if you're doing something wirelessly to the keyboard, which means you're going to need that Yamaha wireless Bluetooth adapter in order to hook your iPad device up to this thing wirelessly. I don't know if Android is supported. I have to go further into the manual for that. But you can download the manual for free. Auxiliary in level, it's at 100%. Now you hook up like an MP3 player or go through the line out or headphone jack of your iPad or iOS or Android device in this case, because it doesn't matter what source it is. The input level, I would leave it 100%, provided the device you hook up has actual control on it. If you are going to hook up, and I know some people are going to be like, what's a tape cassette player? If you're going to hook up a tape cassette player, old school stuff, because that's the music you have and it's only on cassette in your collection, you can hook a tape cassette player into this thing with a adapter cable that goes from dual RCAs to 1/8 inch in. Now tape players have a fixed output, so for that you would want to change the level in here. So, or any other device that has a fixed output, you want to change the volume here on the aux in level so that it doesn't overblast your playing and your singing. You need a balance in your mix. Okay, transposing. Now this is definitely a temporary area. So if I want to transpose 6 steps up or 12 up in the positive or the negative side, doesn't matter which, I'm transposed, but I need to get back to my main area. So we're going to hit exit. Now this is where I can go in, I can choose different instruments if I want to, doesn't matter what I pick, you know. Okay, so wherever I leave that setting, it's staying there until I'm done. Okay, Now, if I need to retranspose again, oh wait, I got out of the menu. Do I have to start over from scratch? Absolutely not. The last function that you are in this menu is going to be the first thing that goes back, provided the power has not been interrupted. Okay? Every time you turn off the power and back on again, your transpose will automatically go back to 0. So just remember when you're playing songs that if you have to transpose up, down, back to 0, and so on, leave your last function area on the transpose and then exit out so you can change your instruments and other stuff, and then just hit the function button to get right back into transpose, because that's the last thing that was on the screen. Tuning. This is where you're going to change your tuning of your keyboard from 440 Hertz right down to 415.3 or to 466.2, depending on where you need your tuning. Okay? Now, will this actually save if we interrupt it? Well, let's find out. I'm kind of curious myself. So let's turn it off. Turn it back on. Some things will save, some things will not. Now remember, default was 440. And it does hold that tuning setting. So the last setting you used for tuning, it's going to hold it in memory until you manually go back in and change it yourself. Okay? And this is the same thing. Keep an eye on the other perimeters that you mess with, and see if they're automatically saving, because that's an auto save. The mic we had to manually save, but some things will automatically save, others just won't. Okay? Pitch bend range, split point. This is where you can set wherever you want the keyboard to split from. So let's say you want a bass guitar and your piano in there, or whatever other instrument. Set the split point exactly where you're going to need that bass guitar instrument at. So get an idea, playing a bass, whichever bass you're going to have as your secondary on your split, and see what notes you're really going to need, and then split the keyboard from that point over to keep your regular piano. Now, I don't know of any songs myself that use the severe low end of any piano, so you should be okay from the lowest end of A right on up through to probably the next A. Okay, so you should have that area at least, and then anything in front of that going toward the high end will be where you need to use stuff. Touch response. Okay, now this has some little different quirks about it. Touch response. Default is medium, which is standard touch response. Okay. Okay. Now, soft, which is another selection, it produces a loud sound. The volume level and tones tend to be consistent. Hard, you got to really beat on the keys to get any real volume out of the keyboard. And of course, fixed means no touch response, so the volume will be the same regardless of how hard you play the keys. Okay? Medium, I find, works the best. And I think Yamaha, they set all their keyboards at medium because that's kind of like a standard thing, like a real piano, right? We have a Yamaha Clavinova, what is it? It's a 370 series anyways, piano keyboard at our church, and it is always defaulted to medium on the touch. So, and that's where our piano player actually leaves it, you know. And but it's also, you know, you're talking a keyboard that's from like 2008, you know, where this thing here, this is only like 3 years old, so it's not very old. But you know, that's the touch response. You can set that up to whichever way. Multi-finger chording, main volume, main octave, main pan for panning lefts and rights and all that sort of stuff. Main reverb, chorus, DSP levels. Now some people go like, what's a DSP? What's DSP? It's digital signal processor. Okay, that's what it means. So digitized sound. Dual pans, dual reverb levels, dual DSP levels, split volumes. So you can change the volume on your split. One could be higher, one could be lower, that sort of thing. Split octaves, split pans, split reverb levels. So you have a pile. Main DSP is always on there. Basic Hall, now that's the type. You can also go to large Hall. There's a bit of a difference there. Straight room. So there's a lot of settings in this area. These will likely auto-save, okay? And no effect at all. I always like a little bit of reverb on stuff. Okay, dampener resonance is on. Dampener, so you're sustaining notes. Sustain off. Now sustain off, you turn it on, it holds that note. You want it off, okay? If you can't hold down a sustain pedal, I have no idea. But I would just stick with your pedals, okay? Don't mess with this area. I don't know why they put it in there. Master EQ types. You can change the parameters for that. Headphones output gain. IA. Now IA, just let me go up to the manual here for a quick second because I know where that page actually is. The IA, that's dual voice. Sorry guys. Mistyped. Intelligent acoustic control. It automatically adjusts and controls the sound quality according to the overall volume of the instrument, even when the volume is low. Permits both low sounds and high sounds to be clearly heard. IAC is effective only from the sound output of the instrument speakers. Okay, although the default settings of IAC is set to on, you can turn the function on or off. In addition, you can set the depth as well of the IAC. Okay? Now, that is only affected from the built-in speakers, right? You plug into this pair of headphones, it's not an available feature. Going into a PA system, that feature is not there. However, if you have your setting, which we'll be going through shortly, to set for always on, you will have speakers, which will give you your IA on stage, but your PA system won't get that same exact control other than what they control on their mixing board. Okay? Depth control, of course, to the IA. Harmony types. Harmony volumes. Assignable pedal. Okay, this is something I wanted to get into. I watched some videos on this keyboard even before I bought it. But I've also been playing and messing around with this at the store for over a year. Anyway, what I heard on the videos was that when you bought the pedal board for this, which has your 3 main pedals on it, you would be able to program settings on the far left and the middle pedal. Okay, but the far right, which is, you know, hold it down for your sustained notes, would not be programmable. That information is completely been put out incorrect. I put it out that way too on my video, I know, right? But I went by what I saw and heard on other videos, right? They didn't actually show how to do these programmings. They said it could be done. So what I did find out is don't put that sustain pedal away that came with it. Leave it plugged in along with your pedal board because you can now assign that pedal to a couple of different features, okay? So, assignable pedals, sustain, paramento, mic on or off. So if you hit that small little square pedal that came with this thing, you can turn your mic bus on or off. So you can just manually turn the microphone off. So if you have a regular dynamic mic that doesn't have an on-off switch on the microphone itself, and you want to talk to people without them hearing all that echo out of your voice, you can just push the foot switch, boom, and it shuts the mic off, and then you're a cappella. Okay? Now, the other thing you can do is start, stop, tap tempo, and of course your sustain. So start, stop that's going to be your area where your beats are, okay, or your styles. So, let's just leave it on start stop. And all I did was push the pedal, okay? I will zoom out so you can see I am not touching the keyboard at all, okay? So that's the only pedal that's actually programmable. And kind of disappointed in a way because, you know, some people were putting it out that the other two, you could do this with it or that with it. And it's like, well, according to the manual, the 3-foot switch pedal that you buy for this thing is not programmable. Okay, and I found no other features in any of these menus to allow for that. The only thing programmable is your actual sustain pedal that came with the keyboard and plugs into the sustain port. Now you still get your normal sustain when you're plugged in with the 3-piece pedal board. Okay, so start stop, good place. Now this is another feature, it will auto save. Okay, that I know. So you got parametro time, PC mode, local, external clock, keyboard out, style out, song out, initial setup, time signature numerator, time signature denominator, bell. Now that bell thing, trying to remember what that was for. Oh, that's for your metronome. So the bell's for your metronome. Metronome volume, quantize, rich part. I mean, some of these I don't even have a clue what they're for. I mean, a lot of this stuff is definitely going to be in your manual, right? And, you know, demo groups, one demo, demo play mode, demo cancel, speaker control. Okay, so speaker control is normal, always on. So if we go speaker control, always on. Let's plug in our headphone jack. There's our speakers there. So, I'll fire up the other speakers back here. This is going out to my mixing board. Now you're hearing just the speakers up front. Now you're hearing them from the back of the room. Okay? So, what we want to find out now, we're going to go always on. Let's turn the power off. Turn power back on. Now we've got to see if our speakers are still going to be on. Because default, you're plugged into PA, nothing. So, not a savable feature. Okay? It's only going to be temporary. The sound you're hearing, that's coming from my speakers on the back. Okay, so back into the menu. We just got to skip ahead through all this stuff. Now speaker control, I'm going to just leave on normal. Auto power off. I want it off. This way it just doesn't automatically shut off from not being used, because I can do that myself. Okay? Or you could have it on 10 minutes of not use. 30 minutes, 120, and that's as far as you go. So no more than 2 hours tops. I'm going to leave it off though, because I don't need it anyhow. Style volume, song volume, audio volume, wireless LAN volume, if you're going with the Bluetooth wireless Yamaha adapter to go wireless into this thing. Auxiliary in level, so if you have a device that you're going to plug into the auxiliary port that's an 1/8 inch mini jack, if it's got a fixed line out, then you're going to want to manually control it from here. Otherwise, if it has, you know, volume up and down like your iPad or whatever, Android MP3 player, leave this at 100%. Control the main volume from your device. And then you get a better mix this way when you're playing and singing with it. Transposing, of course, the transpose is something that only keeps it setting while the power is turned on. It resets to 0 when it's off. Tuning, we've been through all this stuff. So there's all of our features as far as that stuff goes. Some of the stuff I understand, some of the stuff I don't understand. Okay? And none of us will probably understand some of the stuff either, because it's kind of like, do I really need that? What's that for? I mean, I'm not sure. You know? So anyways, let's go. Okay, let me just turn this off. Back on again. Now again, our noise is coming from the speakers back there. Okay, so back into function. I want to stay plugged into my PA, right? Now this is a bit of a pain. Speaker control. At least the menu is not that far away. So you hit the left category button to get to it quickly. Okay, and if you go normal, only your PA. Always on, then it goes to your PA and your piano. So this way I can go back to my PA and go, I'm just going to shut down the PA for the day, turn that off, and just play through here. But I turn off the power, or I let the thing go to sleep and I turn it back on. Oh, no sound. Oh yeah, that's what I forgot. Function, left button, okay. Speaker control, always on, okay. Now, I'm back to playing, so I want to get back to my transpose, so I hit the right button, go to the transpose area. I need to transpose this song up one step to the positive side. Okay, now I just want to exit out of there. I got to retranspose again. Back to 0, exit, there you go. So, the big things that are, to me, that Yamaha needs to, in my opinion, address, to fix with hopefully a firmware update, is to allow the auto saving to take place for your speaker output control. This way, whether your PA system is on or not, because you're plugged into it, and this keyboard doesn't have line out specifically, it has headphones. It has the ability to switch that to a line out bus or to a fixed bus. Okay. However, because you automatically plug something into the headphones, it automatically cuts off the internals. They give us the option to switch that around, but they don't make it as a savable feature, right? Which really sucks. I think they need to address that. As far as the programmability of the far left and middle pedal, if you buy the pedal kit for this thing, like I did, I don't really care in the end if I can program those pedals or not. I actually found them to be quite useful for what they're supposed to do, even compared to a real piano. So it's not a big hassle to have your sustain pedal that came with the keyboard plugged in to the sustain bus and switch that busing over to one of the choices that they give you. Now, they don't give you a boatload of choices, obviously, but the one that I like the best is the fact I can turn my beats on and off right from that pedal. I can keep playing, turn that on or off. I was kind of hoping that the guys on YouTube were right about programming the far left and the middle, because then I could use like the one pedal to turn it on and off and the other pedal to do my fills while I'm playing, because it's going to be almost impossible to do your fills while you're playing. It's like, oh man, really? So maybe that's another thing Yamaha could take a look at, because how many songs actually require the far left and the middle pedal on a piano that people even play nowadays? I mean, for one, there's only been a very small, minuscule amount of pieces ever written from what I've been hearing. Okay? I will never use the pedals for that. But they do have a useful purpose for some things that I might find useful. I don't know. Right? But I would like the ability to program those. But it is pretty sad that the information was misrepresented on those videos. And of course, I'm guilty of the same thing because I went by what I was told. You know, and of course at the time I also didn't, I don't even think I had the pedal board at the time when I talked to you guys about that. But I did check and confirm in the manual itself for the piano. It does talk about the pedal board and everything. You cannot program any of the foot switches on the pedal board. You must have your sustain pedal that came with it plugged into the sustain port, and then you can program just that one, and that's it. But whatever, it is what it is, right? In the end though, like I said, some things will auto-save themselves. Power on or off, doesn't matter. Other things are temporaries. The two major temporaries, transposing, of course, is definitely main temporary, and changing from, you know, the speakers always being on to not always being on feature. That's also a temporary, which I think they really need to address the speaker on thing, because, I mean, even at our church, we got a Clavino with 370 piano. I mean, it's nothing special compared to this thing. This thing is far more advanced, right? But even that thing has multiple output buses that we can go through, and we can still have our internal speakers on that keyboard on all the time. We don't even have to change a setting. We just plug into the port underneath and go, oh, okay, this is going to go to the PA. Boom, jam that up there, and away we go. We still have our internal speakers on the piano, and we have a stage monitor for our piano player because she needs that as well. And then, of course, out to the house, right? So if you're going to use a modern day keyboard like this in your church, you're going to have to, whoever's playing your piano is going to have to always remember they've got to go back into the function area, and of course, I got to get back to this area. But you know, you get the idea, speaker control, right? They're always going to have to switch it from normal, which will be nothing, to always on in order to hear the piano on stage through these speakers. Now, if you don't need to hear these speakers on stage and you have a stage monitor and you're fine with just that, then who cares, right? My case, I have my keyboard in my studio in here. I always want to be able to hear my speakers. I don't want to hear them when I'm recording to the computer as far as through my PA. I just want to hear them here and still get to my PA. So I have to always remember to hit always on. So, you know, I mean, it's a little late for Yamaha to put a line out bus on this thing, but it's not too late for them to do a firmware update that would make that an autosave feature that if you decided you wanted to change it back, you could. Okay? That would be kind of a neat thing. Otherwise, that's all I got for you guys today. I know it was a bit of a lengthy video, but thank you so much for hanging out. And I'm sorry I don't know everything about all these features. A lot of us don't, and the manual only goes so far with telling us what these things really do. And from what I was reading on a lot of those features that we went through that I really didn't understand much, the majority of us, and I do say the word majority, are not even going to need any of that stuff. Okay? So why it's in there, anybody's guess, right? But otherwise, yeah, there you go. Anyways, thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. See ya.